So today, U.S. Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch is announcing his new children's book, Heroes of 1776, the story of the Declaration of Independence. The upcoming book, out on May 5th, 2026, highlights the revolutionaries whose courage and sacrifice helped secure our nation's independence. And Justice Gorsuch joins us right now. Mr. Justice, thanks so much for joining the program.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Justice, you know, some of your colleagues believe that the Constitution is a living and breathing document, and you disagree with them on that. But you did write a book talking about the founders who were once living and breathing and their inspirations. Tell us about that.
Well, I think over the next year, we're going to be celebrating a lot of dates and events with fireworks, and I just wanted to share with children some stories about the courage and sacrifice of the heroes behind 1776, who gave us our Constitution and our liberties. And we know some of those names, of course, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, but there are so many ordinary people who did extraordinary things, like Emily Geiger, who was an 18-year-old spy who escaped British troops to deliver an important message, or Caesar Rodney, who did an 80-mile journey through the night in a thunderstorm when he was suffering with cancer to help break a tie to ensure the Declaration's passage when it hung on its knife's edge. There are just so many of these incredible stories of courage and sacrifice by people, ordinary people. And I just wanted to inspire young people to think about doing great things like that themselves. And I'm so lucky to have this amazing illustrator, Chris Ellison, who doesn't use AI, who doesn't use digital media, who paints by hand and brings these heroes to life in a way that I think children are really going to enjoy and relate to.
It's so fascinating seeing this side of you, Justice, because you're known to be a tough jurist with a sense of humor as well. You write this in your book. After many long and brutal years of war, the American people finally won the revolution and faced the difficult task of building a new nation founded on the Declaration's ideas. In 1788, they again put aside their divisions and came together as one to ratify the Constitution. The Constitution established the first modern republic in which the people ruled themselves. I want to focus on that last part where you said the people ruled themselves. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, the Declaration contains three radical ideas: that we're all created equal, that we have inalienable rights that come to us from God, not from government, and that we, the people, have a right to rule ourselves, not be subjects to some dictator or crown or king. And those three ideas really shook old Europe, never before tried in history. We now almost take them for granted. They're the air we breathe, the water we swim in. But those ideas required courageous men, women, and children to make happen in 1776, and they require the same of us today. Thomas Jefferson said, "An ignorant people will never remain free for long." And he's right. We need to know our history in order to preserve it.
To that point of ignorance and knowing our history, it seems like a lot of my generation and the younger generation, those stories just aren't taught in schools. Do you think that has hurt us as a society, that we eliminated those stories out of the history books?
You know, this is one thing my colleagues and I really agree on, is the importance of bringing civic education to our children. Over half of Americans can't pass the citizenship exam we expect people who come to this country to pass. Most Americans cannot name the three branches of government. And if you ask me what the greatest danger America faces today, it's itself. And we have to learn how to talk to one another. We need to know our shared history. And I think if we do that, we'll come to realize that all the things that separate us pale in comparison to the things that unite us, those three great ideas in the Declaration. And so, yeah, I wanted to be part of America's celebration and bringing us together again.
So to that celebration, if you could tell our audience, out of all the founders of this country, which one is the favorite for you?
Oh boy,
I
now
know.
that's not fair.
I have to give you one tough question.
That's not fair. I think in this book, Caesar Rodney stands out to me as one of my favorites. Caesar Rodney and maybe Mary Kay Goddard. Again, a man suffering cancer, asked to come break a tie. He has to ride 80 miles through the night, comes dripping wet after a huge storm, and helps secure the Declaration's passage. Or Mary Kay Goddard, who was the printer of the Declaration with signers' names on it. And she affixes her name to the document too. Mary Kay Goddard, signifying that she stood with the rebels and would stand with them even if it meant treason and hanging. And that's exactly what they expected at the time. We forget about that. This wasn't a foregone conclusion. They thought they were going to die for this. They pledged to each other their lives, their sacred honor, and their fortunes in order to make this country happen.
Well, Mr. Justice, we appreciate you coming on the program this morning. I will say, I'm allowed to say my favorite. You are my favorite, Justice. And I appreciate you coming on the program, sir. You have a good day.
You're so kind. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.